cloned me, and then they sent me to space, and that was where I was able to legally murder all the clones. So, hey, what's going on? So yeah, this is part 3. This is Omar ibn al-Khattab, 10 unique virtues. The first by Dr. Omar right here, and then that's me right there. Yeah, this video is sponsored by Yasin Muhammad. If you can click that little thumbs up button, Buskarooski, as they've never said that before. Subscribe to the channel if you like the content, and click on the thanks button, donate to the channel if you want to sponsor a video, say thank you, have me send you nudes, whatever. You know, it's what we do here. So this is 1 second behind, I think, where the other video ended. And yeah, let's do it. This is another 20-minute video. Let's go.
But subhanAllah, from the moment that he read Taha, that was it. It was like the shaitan said, this is our parting. Bye-bye Omar, right? SubhanAllah, he had gotten to Umar radiallahu anhu enough to inflame him to go kill the Prophet ﷺ, but once Umar radiallahu anhu read the Quran and changed, that day, shaitan parted ways with Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu. So that's number 4, the shaitan would flee from him radiallahu ta'ala anhu. Number 5, his ibadah, his worship. Aisha radiallahu ta'ala anha mentioned that there was no one amongst us that was known to pray the night like Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu. Remember, those of you that watched the Ramadan series on meeting Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, this narration where the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam was walking the streets at night listening to the qiyam of the companions. Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu's voice was too low. The Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, why is your voice so low? Abu Bakr radiallahu ta'ala anhu said, Ya Rasulullah, the one who needed to hear me, heard me. I was making him who needs to hear me, which is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's okay if my voice is low. And the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam said, raise your voice a bit. And the Prophet ﷺ told Umar radiallahu anhu, why are you so loud at night when you pray qiyam? Like you're walking anywhere near the house of Umar radiallahu anhu, you can hear his voice booming with the Quran throughout the night. And he said, Ya Rasulullah, I was reading that loudly, أَطْرُدِ الشَّيَاطِينَ, so I could make the shayateen flee. SubhanAllah, I was reading loud so the shayateen would flee everywhere around me. The Prophet ﷺ told him, lower your voice a bit. So Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, raise your voice a bit. Umar radiallahu anhu, lower your voice a bit. But it shows you the mentality. Aisha radiallahu anha mentions that Umar radiallahu anhu, that there was no one amongst us that was known for his night prayer like Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu. And his voice was too loud to conceal. He had such a deep voice. Someone with that deep of a voice, even if they try to whisper, it doesn't work. Right? His voice was the deepest amongst the companions. And Umar radiallahu anhu needed no loudspeaker, right?
So when he was reciting the Quran, did his barber walk by and just hear him say something? And he was just like, and he fainted again. Call back to the first episode. On the first of the, you get it. You giggled.
That's why they thought when the Prophet ﷺ was dying, let's let Umar lead because everyone will hear Umar radiallahu anhu leading the salah. He was so loud with his recitation and he couldn't conceal his crying. Like you could hear his crying throughout the night. Ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhuma, he says that Umar radiallahu anhu had 2 tunnels under his eyes. SubhanAllah, from the amount of crying that he would do at night when he would read the Quran. It's like 2 tunnels, like the tears had eroded a part of his face from the amount of crying that he would do when he would recite the Quran at night. And Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhum, when he would hear the Quran, they said he would be as if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was addressing him directly. So one time he went out and he heard a reciter read Surah Al-Tur. And when he heard the reciter read Surah Al-Tur, and he heard the verses about the punishment, subhanAllah, the punishment is what worried him. When he heard the verses about the punishment, he said, بِرَبِّ الْكَعْبَةِ, by the Lord of the Kaaba, he's talking to me. Allah's talking to me. And he became so distressed that he fell sick for some time, radiallahu ta'ala anhu, and the people would come to visit him, not knowing what caused him, his fatigue. Like Umar radiallahu anhu heard the verses of the Quran and they stung him. Sometimes because he worried about himself, radiallahu ta'ala anhu. And this is something, by the way, that I want us to take as one of the most important lessons from the life of Umar. Why does everyone love the story of Umar radiallahu anhu? His strength, right? Anytime you want to put someone in line, right? You want to put someone in check, you reference the story of Umar radiallahu anhu. Why am I being this rough? Well, Umar radiallahu anhu was like this. Why am I talking to you this way? Don't you know Umar radiallahu anhu spoke this way? Why am I, we justify our anger or we justify our harshness sometimes by trying to reference Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu. But the thing is that if you don't have the tahajjud of Umar, don't use the stick of Umar. You don't have his night prayer, don't try to claim his stick. His standing at night made him harsher on himself than he was on anyone else, to where when Umar radiallahu anhu was rectifying the affairs of people, there was never any nafs in it. There was never any self in it. And people knew that. You know, subhanAllah, when you have a leader and you know that the leader works harder than you, what does that do? It naturally inspires you. And so when the person tells you, gives you that nudge to move further, to do better, you know that it's coming from a place of goodness and that person leads by example. They always knew that Umar radiallahu anhu was harsher on himself than anyone else. That he pushed himself more than he pushed others, and that just as he was trying to cause the shayateen to flee from him, from his voice when he was praying at night, in the way that he managed the affairs of the community, he was causing the shayateen to flee. He was bringing people to the best versions of themselves, radiyallahu ta'ala anhu. So Umar radiallahu anhu pushed the people to ibadah. And by the way, this is instructive even in the leadership of Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu. Sa'd ibn Abi Waqqas radiallahu ta'ala anhu mentioned when Umar radiallahu anhu appointed him in charge in Iraq, in Kufa, the first letter he receives, you imagine like this is going to be your instruction. You're going to be the governor of one of the two Iraqs. Because at that time they called Kufa and Basra the two Iraqs. So you're going to be a governor of a mighty place. Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu, the first thing he starts off with, he says, "Inna ahamma amrikum indi as-salah." He said, listen, the most important of your affairs to me, I'm appointing you as a leader, is your salah. Hafiz ala salah. Be mindful.
Side question, when did it become just one Iraq? And how long was it known as the two? Hey, shut your face. I'm talking. I obviously know the answer. That's obviously. Just for anyone else who might watch the video and not know the answer. And I believe in community. And so if I just tell you the answer, that doesn't benefit anyone. Right?
Of your prayer. Guard your prayer. فَإِنَّكَ إِن ضَيَعْتَهَا, because if you lose your prayer, فَأَنْتَ لِمَا سِوَاهَا أَضْيَعْ, then you will lose everything beyond it. You lose your prayer, you lose everything. Like subhanAllah, this is my first instruction to you as a leader, as a governor, not to be savvy. He didn't give him some technical instructions about being a political leader. Be mindful of your salah, because if you lose your salah, then you will lose everything after your prayer. And so that's the fifth thing we see from Umar radiallahu anhu. And of course his worship is something that is distinguished with his sadaqah, with his charity, with his fasting and everything like that. Number 6, perhaps the most distinguishing factor of his khilafah is his adl. And we're going to talk about his adl, his justice, inshallah ta'ala, next week, bi'idhnillah, when we actually talk about some of the things that happened under his khilafah. But, the narrations in this regard are plentiful. The famous story of Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu, where he said to the people, to limit the dowry, to limit the mahr. And a woman said to Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu that you cannot limit what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not limit. And Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu said, and this is the Musannaf of Abdul Razak, he said the woman is right and Umar is wrong. Like, she put me in my place, I agree, she's right, she told the truth. The story of Salman al-Farisi radiallahu ta'ala anhu, where Umar radiallahu anhu stood up and he said, listen and obey, hear and obey, which is the way that they would start as they're about to give instructions as the khulafa. And Salman radiallahu anhu said, Wallahi la nasma' wa la nuti', we will not listen to you nor will we obey you. And Umar radiallahu anhu did not say, hold on, come here, let me make an example out of you. Umar radiallahu anhu said, why? Can you tell me why? I want to know why, because this wouldn't come from you, O Salman, unless there was something. And he said, you took 2 garments, 2 cloths for yourself, and you only gave us 1 cloth. SubhanAllah, like you think about the affairs of the ummah, right? When you have leaders like that, that is something else. You know, imagine if that was the complaint we had with our leaders today in the Muslim world. You took 2 for yourself, and you gave 1 to everyone else, right? And Umar radiallahu anhu could have just said, Salman, give me a break. I'm the Khalifa. I can take 2 cloths and give you 1. Instead, Umar radiallahu anhu calls his son Abdullah to explain that Umar radiallahu anhu is so tall that Abdullah gave him his cloth and they weaved them together as one so that it could cover the body of Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu. So he actually did not take 2 and give everyone 1. Salman radiallahu anhu said, now we will hear and obey. Okay, case is closed then. SubhanAllah, that is the justice of Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu. There are a few other narrations that I'll mention, some of them not as...
He doesn't come across as someone who would take 2 and everyone else has 1. He doesn't. I mean, if he's going to fight people for, Islam, for the Quran, for God, he doesn't come across as somebody who's going to be fair. 2 for me, 1 for you, fair,
As well known. And Imam al-Sha'bi, rahimahullah, he says that one time, because this one's very practical for you when you're buying a car, okay? Imam al-Sha'bi says one time Umar radiallahu anhu took a horse to test ride a horse. He was the Khalifa and he was looking to purchase a horse. So he took the horse for a test ride. While Umar radiallahu anhu was on the horse, the leg of the horse slipped and broke. Could be because he was so big, Allah knows best, but the point is, the horse messed up in the test drive. So Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he came back to the man, he gave him back his horse with a broken leg. The man said, Al-Qada. He said, I want judgment. Umar is the Khalifa, right? Like, what do you mean judgment? Go find another horse. No, Umar radiallahu anhu said, okay, you're right. He said, who do you want to judge? He said, La arda illa bi Shurayh min al-Iraq. The man said, I will not be pleased except with a judge named Shurayh from Iraq, who was not even a Sahabi, he was a Tabi'i. Umar radiallahu anhu said, fine. So Umar radiallahu anhu called Shurayh. Shurayh has to judge between the Khalifa and the horse dealer. By the way, this doesn't absolve car dealers, all right? If you know that the leg of the horse is broken before you give someone a test drive of the horse, then it's on you, okay? But with this car/horse in this regard, Shurayh heard them both out. Shurayh said to Umar radiallahu anhu, he said, look, you took the horse and it was healthy and in good condition. You should have returned the horse in the same way. So Shurayh ruled against Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu. And he told Umar radiallahu anhu, you have to either replace him with a horse like it, or you have to pay him the damages. Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu said, I like you, you're a qadi now. I appoint you as a judge. So he appointed him as a judge in Iraq just because he said your judgment was fair, makes sense, and you know what, you're going to be a judge now. Because you judged against me, you had the courage, you had the integrity to hold that judgment even against me, you get to be the qadi now. There are multiple narrations, subhanAllah, too many of them to go through. One other one, Sa'id ibn Musayyib.
So how did that end? Did he pay him or did he get him a new horse? You left me hanging, man. Even I wanted to know what happened next. I do appreciate that, he could have used his power and said, maybe you should rethink this, but again, he comes across extremely fair. And to promote the guy, hey, look, you did the right. You reward people who do the right thing, and that's what the guy did.
Radiallahu ta'ala anhu, because there are multiple ones that involve non-Muslims. Remember, the Khilafah of Umar spread, and there were many non-Muslims now that were from Ahl al-Dhimma, that lived under Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu. One time, there was a man that disputed with a Jewish man under Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu, and Umar radiallahu anhu, he ruled in favor of the Jew. And the Jewish man responded and he said, Sadaqta wallah. He said, you've told the truth, or you have judged with truth. Umar radiallahu anhu said, he poked him, he said, how do you know? And he said, because we find written in the Torah that none judges with the truth except that Allah sends an angel on his right and an angel on his left, and they keep him steady with the truth. And if he abandons the truth, then the angels abandon him. Another time where Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu saw an old man from the people of the book, and he was begging for charity. And Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu, he looked at him and he said, أخذنا منك الجزية في شبيبتك. أخذنا منك الجزية في شبيبتك. That we took from you the jizya. We took the tax from you while you were young. ثم ضيعناك في كبرك. And then we lost you when you became old. No way. And he took the man, and Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu assigns for a portion from Baytul Mal, from the public treasury, to meet his needs. The story of Amr ibn al-As radiallahu ta'ala anhu and his son. Amr radiallahu anhu was, of course, the conqueror of Egypt under Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu. And the son of Amr, whose name was Muhammad. So this wasn't Abdullah ibn Amr ibn al-As, this was another son named Muhammad ibn Amr ibn al-As, who was a horse rider, and he used to race with people, and he raced with a Coptic in Egypt, a Christian man in Egypt. And this man was a slave. And the man beat him. So what did he do? He went to him after the race and he hit him on the head with his whip. And he said, Ana ibn al-Akramin. I'm the son of the nobles here. I'm the son of the conquerors. I'm the son of the nobles. How dare you humiliate me this way? The man, subhanAllah, heard that Umar radiallahu anhu in Medina doesn't let this type of stuff go. So he makes his way to Medina to complain about the son of the governor of Egypt. Talk about taking a risk. He goes to Umar radiallahu anhu, he complains. Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu summons Amr ibn al-As. Think about the sensitivities of this. To leave Egypt, leave your post and bring your son with you. And come to Medina. All for this man, subhanallah. Brings him in front of him, and he verifies that this indeed took place. He hands the whip to this Christian man, and he says to this Coptic slave, he says, whip him back. Go ahead and hit him the way he hit you. All this is happening for that reason. The man was hesitant, but Umar radiallahu anhu assured him, he said, hit him back. And then he said, now put the whip on the head of Amr ibn al-As radiallahu ta'ala anhu, because it was in his name that you were humiliated. Subhanallah. Like, just to establish the balance in society. That's the justice of Umar. Now you might read that and you say, maybe Umar radiallahu anhu had something personal with Amr radiallahu anhu, and this was an excuse. No, because guess what happens also in his khilafah? Umar had a son named Abdurrahman. Now Umar, by the way, where are all my Abdurrahmans here? I see at least one, Abdurrahman. All right. Umar radiallahu anhu named 3 of his sons Abdurrahman. Because the Prophet ﷺ said the most beloved of names to Allah, Abdurrahman and Abdullah. So he had Abdurrahman al-Kabir, he had the big Abdurrahman, the middle Abdurrahman, the small Abdurrahman. He literally named them that way. Okay? So this was one of the Abdurrahmans in Egypt. And he became intoxicated, and he also committed zina. He also committed adultery. Now, this is the son of a Khalifa. By the way, subhanAllah, shows you, subhanAllah, that hidayah is so in the hands of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Sons of prophets, sons and daughters of the righteous people. Not all of Umar radiallahu anhu's kids turned out like Hafsa and Abdullah. May Allah be pleased with all of the companions. So he messed up, he slipped. And it was severe, it's a major sin. Amr ibn al-As was the governor of Egypt. He decided to carry out the punishment in private, and he barely did it. Just kind of like symbolic, but in private, because let's not make a scene. This is the son of the Khalifa. Umar radiallahu anhu, when he heard about that, he called for Abdurrahman. And he treated him, publicly carried out the flogging the way that everybody else would have it carried out. SubhanAllah, to establish justice. No, my son is not going to get special treatment because he's the son of Amir al-Mu'mineen. Absolutely not. So SubhanAllah, both of these situations involve Amr ibn al-As radiallahu ta'ala anhu. The 7th thing, Inna Allah ya'muru bil-adli wal-ihsan. His mercy. People don't think of Umar radiallahu anhu in regards to his mercy, but his mercy is special. It is special. And subhanAllah, the beauty of Abu Bakr and Umar, may Allah be pleased with them both, is that when Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu assumed Khilafah, Abu Bakr was known for his leniency. But he needed to show some toughness in the face of the apostasy of Musaylim al-Kadhab and that threat. So much so that Umar radiallahu anhu thought he was being a little bit too harsh. When Umar radiallahu anhu assumed Khilafah, he was known for his harshness. There was a fear, maybe he's going to be so hard. Instead, we see the leniency of Umar radiallahu anhu came through. The mercy of Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu ta'ala anhu came through. And this is actually a dua that Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu used to make. SubhanAllah. Shaddad ibn Aws radiallahu anhu said that from the frequent du'as of Umar, he used to say, Allahumma inni da'ifun faqawwini. Oh Allah, I'm weak, make me strong. Allahumma inni da'if faqawwini. Make me strong. Now, is he talking about physical strength? He's talking about what the Prophet ﷺ said. The strong person is not the one that overcomes others, it's the one that's able, الَّذِي يَمْلِكُ نَفْسَهُ عِنْدَ الْغَضَبِ, the one who's always able to control themselves in anger. That's strength. So he said, Oh Allah, I'm weak. Make me strong. وَإِنِّي شَدِيدٌ. Ya Allah, I'm harsh. I'm severe. Shiddah. You know, subhanAllah, self-awareness is the most important ingredient to tazkiyah after sincerity. After spiritual after your sincerity in your process of spiritual purification, are you self-aware or not, right? You know, Umar radiallahu anhu is self-aware. He says, Inni shadid. Sometimes I'm too severe. Falayyini. Make me lenient. Layyini. Make me merciful. Wa inni bakhilun. Fasakhini. And sometimes I'm stingy, so make me generous. Oh Allah, I am weak, make me strong. Oh Allah, I am harsh, make me lenient. Oh Allah, I am stingy, make me generous. SubhanAllah, this was the dua of Umar ibn Khattab radiallahu ta'ala anhu on multiple occasions. Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu also used to say, لا يرحم من لا يرحم لا يرحم. The hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, whoever does not show mercy will not have mercy shown to them. وَلَا يُغْفَرُ مَنْ لَا يَغْفِرُ. And he who does not forgive will not be forgiven by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. وَلَا يُعْفَ عَمَّنْ لَمْ يَعْفُ وَلَا يُوقَ مَنْ لَا يَتَوَقَّ. Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu said that whoever, مَنْ لَا يَرْحَمْ لَا يُرْحَمْ, whoever does not show mercy will not have mercy shown to them. And whoever does not forgive will not be forgiven. And whoever does not pardon, okay? Whoever does not pardon will not have al-afu, will not have pardon shown to them. And whoever does not protect others will not be protected. And this is also a narration from Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu. He once had an incident where Ibn Abbas radiallahu ta'ala anhu said that there was a man that had requested permission to speak to Umar radiallahu anhu in front of the people. And he accused the Umar radiallahu anhu as the Khalifa of all sorts of things. He said, Wallahi, you do not give us enough, nor do you judge with us in justice. Made these heavy accusations to Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu. And Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu, you could start to see the anger that was inside of him from the accusation. Like, I do everything to establish justice. How dare you just come and try to throw this accusation in front of the people? And he said that Al-Hurr said to him, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, O Commander of the believers, Inna Allah Ta'ala qala li nabiyhi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, khudh al-afwa wa'mur bil ma'ruf wa'arid an al-jahilin, to show forgiveness, to enjoin what is good, and to turn away from the ignorant. So he said, Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu, immediately, it was as if the man didn't say anything to him. SubhanAllah, he calmed down right away. But the best part about this narration is the last part of it, by the way. He says, وَكَانَ وَقَّافًا عِنْدَ كِتَابِ اللَّهِ. That Umar radiallahu ta'ala anhu would always be stopped by the book of Allah, meaning he adhered to the book of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, so he stopped at where the Quran told him to stop. Like right away, the Quran says this, okay, sami'na wa ata'na, we hear and we obey. There was absolutely no hesitation when it came to the Quran.
Went a little long, but I wanted him to be able to say that. I didn't talk a whole lot. I was more just listening. Didn't really have a whole lot to add. Asked a few questions, but other than that, I don't really feel like I contributed. I learned. Well, this is part 3. We're going to end it here. We'll be back with part 4. I got to go get some food. And just imagine you were eating with me. There you go. How about that? We'll end it here, though. We'll be back. This will be coming out Wednesday. Wednesday. What, the 12th? Wednesday the 12th, yeah. And then, for people who don't know, the 15th, Saturday the 15th, I am driving 5.5 hours to Villisca, Iowa, and I'm going to tour the Villisca Axe Murder House. Happened in 1912, June 11th, 1912. I did a video on Halloween about it, showed my little ticket. So, anyways, that'll be fun. And then Monday the 17th, that's my birthday. And that week and the following week, Thanksgiving, I'm not going to record. I'm taking 2 weeks off, but I'll try to get all these videos done at least. I might record a little bit next week to finish these. But Thanksgiving week for sure I won't record. I'll still upload like normal, do all that, and then hopefully I can get something set up with doing a live show. But I will. I will look into getting everything set up for it. All right. So until part 4, have a good day. Have a good night.